Hello everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thank you for joining me. Back at you with another video. This one's going to be a little bit more of like my astro musings and just some insight into some things that I'm noticing with some patterns that are actually setting up right now. Man, there's a lot going on. I was trying to like pull inspiration just to kind of come up with something that I can be talking to you guys about today, and I was taking a look at both what the the astrology is saying, but also looking deeper into the Sabian symbols of what's taking place, kind of April 3rd, 4th, and 5th collectively. I want to read you guys the Sabian symbol for the Saturn-Mars conjunction, and I'd also like to talk to you guys about a couple other repetitive patterns that I'm just noticing. And I'd also like to give to you guys like a collective reading. Not really something I do that often on the channel. I mean, I do my live readings. If you guys have seen that on Saturday nights, I offer either tarot or astrology readings kind of in an open forum live on my channel. But I've never really been one for like general overall collective readings. But I feel like for a lot of people right now who just kind of feel like they're going through it, it can be very helpful. So in the spirit of Aquarian energy and these Saturn-Mars conjunctions in Aquarius, I will be offering one in this video today with just some of like my hot takes on more the philosophical view of the Sabian symbols, and we'll take a look at what comes up in the spread. If you like my channel, if you like my videos, please do hit the subscribe button. Leaving a thumbs up or a positive comment in any capacity is super helpful. It helps the channel grow and get this content into the YouTube algorithm so other people can benefit from this information. Thank you very much for those of you guys who do that regularly. It's so nice to see this channel grow, and also just to kind of feel like I'm developing more of like a community. I'm starting to see a lot of new faces, but I also see lots of regular people who chime in, and for that I thank you so much. Well, what can I say about today outside of the Mars and Saturn conjunction happening in Aquarius? It's in a square to the notes. I myself have been particularly frustrated the last 48 hours, and so whenever I find myself going through the motions of just like kind of letting the transits get the best of me, I always try to kind of remind myself, well, you're aware of it. So people who aren't aware of it or they don't understand it, it can be even more challenging out there for others. And it's always a little bit of like a bittersweet kind of growing opportunity for me to be like, okay, time to go and talk about this. So I'm trying to do that more often for you guys. If you have not already seen my April horoscopes, I talk a lot about the Mars-Saturn aspects and how it plays out for each and every one of the 12 signs. I also talk about this in my weekly astro weather that we put out on Sunday morning. So I will give you those links if I can. I'll attach it to this video, or you can find it on my video list. But I'm seeing like lots of repetitive numbers that are setting up, not just with the Mars-Saturn at 22. The nodes are at 22. So we're actually seeing Mars come into a conjunction with Saturn, because Saturn is the slower moving planet. So Mars is making the aspect to Saturn. Mars is almost kind of like checking Saturn in a way, trying to rush through something, and Saturn's the one going, no, hold on, do it right, slow down. That conjunction in itself, I think, can be kind of summed up in just be very mindful of what you're fighting for. Picking your battles, knowing the time and the appropriate motions and the appropriate form when it comes to executing things. And there is a need to really slow down and either have a much more kind of balance, especially in an air element. It's about communication and information and things that we're saying or we're writing. I am almost a little iffy about even doing a video with these squares, but yeah, it is what it is. Sun's conjunct Mercury in Aries. But that aspect in itself, and I've said this several times, it's almost like when we have these conjunctions involving outer planets, it does affect everyone collectively. but it's doubly so when they form angles to the north and the south node. So if you're unfamiliar with that, the south node is essentially the collective undoing, what we're moving away from, what we're letting go of, what no longer serves us, what doesn't feel good, and what could almost be like these patterns or these holes that we can kind of fall back into if we're not careful. So with the south node in Scorpio, collectively, we're moving through fear, paranoia. We're learning to let go of fear of death or transitions or the unknown. We're also letting go of jealousy, possessiveness, pain, abuse. The list goes on, all the fun Scorpio stuff, you know? So collectively, we're going through this. And then the north node being kind of strange and mysterious, or more so the direction that we're hoping to go collectively in our lives, is in Taurus. And so Taurus being the polar of Scorpio, similar energies, one brings life and one can bring death or transition. Taurus is more focused on like pleasure and feeling good and the five senses and what smells good, tastes good, feels good. It can be quite literal with money and materials and resources or the earth, or it can be about developing our own personal inner sense of security, like better self-esteem and feeling that we're getting back down to the basics. So I can wrap on the nodal aspects forever, but I guess right now it's like a turning point, you know? And with Mars and Saturn, we're going to see this theme of wanting to rush through something, maybe wanting to rush to mobilize, rushing, going through the motions before we're really ready. Something that's kind of come up a lot in a lot of sessions for me the last week or so with clients is you can't rush the process. You can't rush the healing. You can't rush the sense of responsibility or the obligation to certain duties or certain tasks. And it does not serve us to rush into something without thinking something through. This has hit me several times the last couple of days, and even knowing that it was coming still hit me. So if you are feeling right now that you are strapped for time, that you're under intense pressure for timelines and getting something finished, or being able to meet your own sense of time or deadlines, it's not unusual. Everybody's feeling it because of the squares to the nodes, but it's pretty safe to say that if you have any major fixed placements, basically Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you're definitely seeing this play out in your life right now. Perhaps maybe through some of these frustrations, it's also giving you like the motivation to really look at things and go, is this worth my time? Am I really passionate about this? Is this a use of my time, a good use of my time, things like that. So besides that, and even as I film this, the moon is in the late degrees of Taurus, and it's coming into a hard angle right now with Venus. So there is this sense of emotionally trying to focus on security, stability, kind of regrouping from some of the frustrations that's been taking place the last 48 hours. But on the flip side, it's also this sense of, with the moon square Venus, are we opening ourselves up to loving differently, feeling differently, moving differently, socializing differently? Venus doesn't just rule relationships and money. Venus rules how things feel. It rules our preferences, so we can see a lot of changes going on as a result of this square being peppered in between the moon and all of the planets, where it's like April 3rd and 4th were days to really kind of look at, okay, how am I adjusting to change? How do I feel about standing up for something and working hard for something that's really important to me versus working hard for something that doesn't feel good? So I would say just be mindful of that. The square to the nodes is actually perfecting pretty much as you guys are watching this. So it's going to be perfecting closer to the daytime here on April 5th. So you will actually, you're already feeling it, but you're really going to feel it pretty much all day today. And one thing that I would say, between the conjunction with Saturn and the square to the nodes is picking your battles, right? definitely picking your battles, knowing when it's time to kind of like stand up for yourself and be a little bit more fierce or really courageous or really passionate, and knowing when to like cool your jets. And that's definitely very much the conjunction to Saturn. I guess the silver lining is definitely going to be kind of coming off of this energy closer to the 6th as the moon goes into Gemini and starts making, trines and aspects to Saturn, Mars, and Venus. Now, in the midst of all of this, like I said, this is taking place alongside some Sun-Mercury conjunctions. The Sun is moving in close proximity the last couple of days to Mercury. So we definitely see a lot of that quick moving communication, exchange of ideas, the I need, I feel type stuff going on with Aries. And it's going to continue to keep funneling into Aquarius, making sextiles to Aquarius. There can be lots of strength in numbers, opportunities to use some of these frustrations almost as like the fuel to put in our fuel tank to go where we want to go, to make things happen, to literally start kind of walking the walk and talking the talk. And there can be strength in numbers through networking, groups, online groups, friendships, things like that. But I'm very curious, or I was curious, I just pulled out the Sabian symbol for 23 degrees of Aquarius, because if we notice this conjunction that's happening, it's actually setting the stage for what is going to be basically about 2 years of a Mars-Saturn conjunction. So it's not just, there's this frustration that's going on right now, and, it'll pass in a week. No. We are going to see that both through the eclipses in Scorpio and Taurus, because they will square this conjunction by degree, as well as the fact that Mars is not going to come into conjunction with Saturn for quite a while. We have a Mars retrograde later this year, and we will not see Mars and Saturn meet again for quite some time, actually. Looking at this, it looks like they're not going to connect with each other until the new cycle begins. And that new cycle is going to be setting up in what appears to be April of 2024. So yeah, it's going to be 2 years. Mars, Saturn, and Aquarius is the need to fight for freedom, the need to fight for our goals, fight for our dreams, to really push ourselves to elevate, to create a momentum, to accelerate into the future, right? So I pulled the Sabian symbol for what is 23 degrees, because it's 22 degrees and change for 23 of Aquarius. And I'd like to read it to you. I've read all of these, but I don't remember all of them by heart. But boy, oh boy, is this one really prominent. Aquarius 23. A big bear sitting down and waving its paws. The theme is achievement. The symbol speaks to the mastery of primitive impulses and progressive self-refinement. The image of a bear sitting down waving all of its paws reflects pride and personal improvement and accomplishment, and delight in the ability to participate in improvement and accomplishment, and delight to the ability to participate in life at all high levels. Here, the effective demonstration of skills and know-how will be demanded of every individual who seeks certification of his competency in some special area. Every man must prove himself before he will be fully accepted by his fellows. On a practical level, the image says quite boldly, look at what I can do. On the positive, it can be a symbol that represents remarkable talent for making experience meaningful and willingness to stand up to scrutiny and prove the self or endure whatever tests are necessary to accomplish the objectives. You just want to watch for crude displays or arrogance. That's something that can come up with this. But today the accent is on mastery, feeling proud of yourself or for something that you have accomplished. Your greatest advantage lies in demonstrating your abilities. Welcome all challenges as an opportunity to prove what you can do. Guard against being a show-off and attention grabber. Don't make a fool of yourself trying to bend over backwards to pat yourself on the back. Stepping stones would be pride, mastery, accomplishment, success, achievement, realization, capability, discover talent, and skill. You know, Mars and Saturn, man, that's definitely a lot of like, okay, show me what you can do, you know? And it can take lots of repetition, and it can take a sense of like really having to push yourself almost to the point of going too far when it comes to really being able to apply yourself and being able to really master something. Saturn can very much deal with mastering, but Saturn can also deal with the limits. So I think that Saturn and Mars together, it's like, you know, don't overdo it. Watch for pushing yourself over being able to do too much. But it's clear that it's almost like the last couple of days have been this experience to, for many of us, to really kind of look at whatever we're working on, whatever we're doing, whatever we're putting together, where we're feeling resistance, where we're feeling kind of the upward battle, where it's representing something that we really have to learn, because it's going to be important and applicable really for the better part of the next 2 years. So this is a great time for goal setting, although I think it may come from some rather frustrating kind of interactions. I also think it's very interesting that we have, you know, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter all sitting at 22 degrees. Now, if we look at this more from like a degree theory, you know, that 22 degrees is going to talk very explicitly about Capricorn. So it can be referencing double Saturn energy, but it can also be referencing like the climb, the actual process of climbing and achieving goals, handling responsibilities, whether that's responsibilities at work or as a parent or just for our role out in the world in general. Keep in mind that now this is getting into the later degrees of Aquarius. So we're going to start seeing lots of emphasis on responsibility and learning how to practice restraint in some areas of our life when it comes to just our public image and our roles out in the world. So there can be a sense of there being some rather harsh repercussions when it comes to, you know, our jobs or our titles, or just feeling more of a burden when it comes to being a parent or being somebody who is like an authority figure in some capacity. But I look at Jupiter at 22 degrees, and it's kind of weird, the fact that we have the Saturn-Mars conjunction, which is pretty much fall in line, get it done, you know, manage your time, do it efficiently, do it right, don't cut any corners. On top of, you know, second to Aquarius is, you know, this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. Now, right now, Jupiter is at 22 degrees. So we've got some similar conversations going on. I, for one, I don't really focus a lot on semi-sextiles. It's just not something that I do in my practice personally. I will see them, but I need to see more aspects than just a semi-sextile to be like, oh, something's happening here. But I think that the fact that we are going to see Jupiter come exactly into conjunction with Neptune and then hit 23 right around April 8th. Whether it's conjunct in the same degree or not, I don't want to fixate too much on that, but I think that it's like, on one hand, we have this whole like get it done, do it right, you know, focus on the collective, be a part of a group, have a purpose, you know, contribute. And then on the other hand, with the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, there is this sense of like either divine ecstasy or agony. And in many ways, it can be like washing things away and really kind of like bringing in a clean slate. And certainly, in my opinion, this is probably one of the bigger transits in all of 2022. Obviously, eclipses aside, you know, it would definitely be my top three, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, along with probably, you know, the eclipses, and then down the road later this summer when the North Node meets with Uranus. But this is a big one, and it doesn't necessarily overshadow. It's just that Jupiter and Neptune is so sweet, and it's so spiritual and enlightening, and it gives us grace, and it gives us patience and healing and peace. While the Mars-Saturn, Saturn does cool and kind of, I think, you know, temper the flames of Mars, but in many ways, I think really what it's kind of showing us is that, you know, in order for us to really stay the line and really see our dreams elevate, to see our lives, our vibration elevate, we really do need to pay attention to what's going on with us emotionally and internally. And this is where the energies can be quite confusing, actually, because water is much more empathic, it's emotional, and it just seeps in and it comes out of nowhere. And it can be draining, it can be overwhelming. For some people, it can be the sense of like, I don't know what it is, it's just something feels off, right? On top of the Mars-Saturn conjunction, which is in an air element, which is like, you know, very much like talk about it, focus on your goals, work on it, work on it, work on it. And these are very contradicting energies, right? Saturn has a tendency to be super focused. Neptune wants to lose itself. So in so many ways, I think a lot of people are kind of experiencing this whiplash of just emotional energies where it's like high highs and low lows and it's super focused and then I can't get out of bed. And I would say if that's the experience that you're having at the moment, I would encourage you to really pay attention to that and really ask yourself if like your goals are in alignment with your emotions, if you're just going through the motions, or if you're in a situation where you're realizing you're experiencing burnout because you're tired and there is more of a need to like rest and retreat and reflect perhaps, and kind of hold space a little bit, at least until after Saturn and Mars come out of a square with the nodes, at least until we get maybe like Mars going into Pisces. And for some people, you know, they may have an opportunity at some point in mid-May to just let certain things go, right? To let certain goals go, to really unwind, to relax, to really hold space for what will eventually be like the next phase. This is why I said over and over again in my videos, we may not feel like the new year is really starting until closer to the end of May going into June. So really ask yourself if things are worth fighting for, if you're rushing through things, if you're feeling rushed, if you're comparing yourself to society's timelines or to other people's timelines or to, you know, what you're seeing on social media. I would say you don't want to do that. That's definitely not going to be helpful for you. I think one of the nice reprieves that we're also getting currently is, you know, Venus has moved into, sorry, I'm probably hitting my mic there. Venus has moved into Pisces. And as you guys are watching this on the 5th of April, it has just moved into Pisces. So Venus has been in a Saturn-based sign really since November of 2021. First, it did a very long stint in the sign of Capricorn, and it did its little retrograde dance with Pluto, and then it followed suit with Mars, and then it's gone through, you know, the ice storm of being in Aquarius with the conjunction to Saturn. So now getting Venus into a sign where it is very comfortable, it's exalted, it's more romantic, it's dreamy, it's whimsical. I think in spite of some of these squares to Saturn and Mars, from the notes, it can be a much more enjoyable experience just getting, you know, Venus into this part of the zodiac wheel. Granted, we're not really going to start to see the fireworks, I think, or I should say waterworks, because it's going to be in Pisces, until closer to the third week of May. The third week of April. So, you know, in the third week of April, around the 21st, when we go into Taurus season, it's really important for us to be watching what's going on with Venus because it's Taurus season. And we've got both Venus and Mars coming into Pisces. So it's going to be waterworks for the most part, and I think like a reprieve and an opportunity to really heal and reflect in general. So there's definitely a lot of help on the way. There's a lot of spiritual energies that are going to be helping us release and probably cry. It can be frustrating cries, it can be angry cries, ugly cries that might be happening right now. But I would just say that for whatever you're going through personally, whatever you're experiencing, whatever roadblocks or delays or frustrations or just emotions that are coming up that is difficult to deal with, in so many ways, this is literally Saturn saying, hey, you know, it's time to kind of like master this and mastering doesn't always mean that you need to apply yourself more. Sometimes Mars, Saturn can be like, no, we're making the cut. You know, now's the time to, you know, cut this out of her diet, cut this out of her life. Now's the time to be more active. And now is the time to really use that frustration as a motivation to go, you know what, I'm going to use this. I'm going to put this put this fuel in the car to get to where I want to go. So hopefully that is how you guys are going to use this energy. So I want to get into the collective reading for everybody, and I want to talk about just what's coming up. I'm going to be doing just a basic 10 card spread. So if you're somebody who's like, I'm frustrated, I am hitting a wall, I don't really know which end is up, you know, and I understand that there's many people who don't have the luxury or the ability to get readings all the time or even ever so often. So this can be helpful for you if you are watching this video and you're having a difficult time. Hopefully this gives you some insight so you can think a little bit about whatever you've got going on at the moment, and we're going to pull some cards, and I'm going to talk about just some advice for you generally in how to navigate and channel these energies better. So I will be pulling 10 cards. I'm just going to be doing a cross spread, followed by what will be 3 like expansion cards. That's just like confirmation cards for the final cards, okay? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, I did not look at the cards. So I was looking down. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the first card, which is going to be talking very specifically about the issue at hand for you currently. So for that, I get the Queen of Coins. So this can be addressing you specifically, obviously if you're a woman or if you're an earth sign. Coins can always deal with financial situations, long-term financial planning, health situations, anything pertaining to earth-related subjects, what you're eating, what you're spending money on, what supplements you're taking, how you're feeling in your body, if you have a job, if you feel fulfilled, if you feel secure when it comes to what you are doing in life physically and what grounds you. So what covers the issue is the fact that you're going through a situation that's like, I just want to feel safe, right? North Node and Taurus. I just want to feel grounded. I want to feel like I have everything at my fingertips to bring in health, wealth, security, stability, and know that I have something tangible that I can hold on to. This isn't like a card of excess. This is a card of learning to like nurture your natural talents, like learning more about food, learning more about resources, learning more about business, and being able to allow that to have life. It's a feminine energy. Can be just talking about doing a lot of inner work with values and like really reflecting on what you value or what you consider to be your purpose versus your job. I know a lot of people are going through that right now, and like really learning to kind of like weigh the options and ask yourself, you know, am I just doing this to make a living? You know, is making a good living, making really a good life? So if you find yourself in that situation, or if you're dealing with an earth sign or an earth sign woman, or a parent or an older woman, this can be something else that's coming up. Now the second card is going to be what crosses you, and the card that I get is the 10 of Wands. So being tired, being overwhelmed, feeling like you're carrying too much, feeling like the world's on your shoulders. This can literally be getting to an end of a cycle, and it's reminding you not to trip at the end, not to let go in the final moment, not to get too bogged down with the process that you quit. It's also talking possibly about physical moves or transitions or releasing something and getting ready to let something go. So this card comes up sometimes when it's like, okay, I'm moving and I'm just going to get rid of all my stuff, or, you know, that's it, I'm finally going to lose the weight, or I'm finally going to focus on trying to be more active or trying to be more mobile. And it's saying that like right now, because there's so much on your plate, that there is this sense of being like, I don't even know how to accomplish this task. Thankfully, this is a 10, so it is saying that this cycle is coming to completion. There's going to be rest and recuperation afterwards, but obviously you're feeling like you're carrying something. For some people, with the Queen of Coins coming up with the 10 of Wands, can be like feeling like you're responsible for taking care of the family, or for resources or family, or you might have like a parent that you're having to help out, or it can even be that you know, your partner is out of, you know, work, or you're a single parent and you're struggling just to handle everything on your own. Now, the third card is what lies beneath you and your foundations. This is the 5 of Cups. So despair, loss, depression. Sometimes this can also be a sense of just feeling like hopeless and like not knowing how to get out of a situation. I want to remind you that this is what lies beneath you. So this is kind of saying that maybe there are things you haven't dealt with and they're coming up now that need to be acknowledged and that need to be kind of sorted through. It can be a warning of not staying here for too long, because it can materialize as getting stuck and not being able to get out of this hole. And in this card, if you guys can see it, I know it's shiny, he's looking down. There's 3 cups that are spilled over, but there's 2 cups right here that are still standing up. So if you feel like, oh, I went through a breakup, I can't get over it, oh, I lost my job, you know, major ego blow, oh, I lost the love of my life, I don't know what to do, it's reminding you that there's still partnership, there's still opportunity, there's still people who want to be with you, they want to assist you, they want to help you, there's room. It's almost like this clearing has happened to bring in a more divine union. So that is what lies beneath you. For the past, I get the Page of Swords. Okay. And the Page of Swords is a card that comes up where it can talking about like not communicating as well, or being a little reckless with communication, or kind of like saying things off the cuff, or like having a difficult time expressing yourself in a manner where it's mature. Keep in mind, these are pages, so it can be saying that you didn't express yourself appropriately, you didn't know how to get the words out right. Maybe there was like a challenge in just communicating in general. This can be a representation also, because it's the past of like dealing with like a lot of mental stress and anxiety pertaining to like children or childhood issues, or not having a strong enough vocabulary, I think, when it comes to just expressing yourself. So like sometimes like lashing out in ways that can be like more immature. That's not unusual when we see Saturn, which is kind of youthful, in conjunction to Mars. So it can be this like sense of like getting really frustrated and then just saying a bunch of things because you're unable to, or you're not fully equipped to be able to communicate in a more mature or adult way. Okay, so that is the past. For the crowning thoughts and possibilities, well, we have the Queen of Wands. Interesting that there's another queen coming up. This can be talking about being focused on being creative, having warmth, joy, bringing in more life or opportunity to just be, I think, a little bit more confident with yourself, and like knowing that, you know, this is a card that definitely promises the ability to lean more into your intuition. Kind of similar to the High Priestess, not as much, but there is a little black cat here, which can talk about companions, spirit guides. It can be talking about being more connected to the spirit world, knowing and sensing things better. But the Queen of Wands coming up can also be talking about shifting from being in a situation where you have felt kind of like more cold and maybe bogged down with the Queen of Coins, 10 of Wands that came up, to being like, well, what if I just tried to be warm? What if I spent more time in the sun? What if I focused on what made me happy rather than what made me mad? What if I was about solutions, not problems, and stirring the pot? What if I was more focused on what I'm creating rather than what other people are doing? And just a sense of accomplishment and a sense of feeling very secure with oneself comes up when I see this card. This can be an indication that part of what's coming in is going to be like a new identity. It can be a fire sign that comes in and like helps you with this process of like feeling like you can channel a much more creative energy, and one that's warmer and a little bit more open. Once again, I love that this is fire. It's definitely working with that passion, that energy of Mars, but putting it into an outlet. So rather than like angry texting or like going back and forth with somebody, it's like getting on a treadmill, it's taking a kickboxing class, it's joining a cause, like it's doing something. And so, you know, it may be a woman who is like a fiery kind of person who comes into your life who's like, okay, you're pissed off, what are you going to do about it? You know, go and do something about it. Don't complain about it. Go in and make something, make a change. For the present card that I get, it's a difficult card. It is the 5 of Coins. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's great, Candace, but I'm still stuck out in the cold, and feeling the pressure. You know, both the Queen of Coins and the 5 of Coins, I don't think they could be any more different. I think that it can be kind of talking about that you're so focused on security that it can be looking at it in a sense of like really like numbers in an account, or you know, bills in your pocket or in your purse, or stock in your portfolio, and just because you have something, it doesn't mean that you have the emotional fulfillment, right? So if this card's coming up right now, it's like struggling to get by, not feeling the love, not feeling supported financially. You know, 5 of Coins, you see that you've got 2 people who are out in the cold. They're injured, possibly even without a home, and they're outside of a church, and it's snowing outside and it's cold. Very Mars Saturn. It's like, it's tough out there. You know, there are people that for this card can be like, you know, I'm struggling to put food on the table or take care of my family. And it's really hard to kind of see the forest through the trees because all I can see is where I'm just not getting support. So while this is the present, I kind of feel inclined to tell you, like with a card like this, or 10 of Swords, the Tower, it's like, it's only uphill from here. So if you are in a situation right now where you're in need, a lot of it is also not identifying as a victim, and focusing more on like what you can change. Then we've got the 7th card, which is the, this is yourself, justice. So karma, justice being served, things balancing out. And this isn't just about relationships. It's about finding the inner balance. It's about doing things according to karmic law. Karma kind of playing itself out. So this can be in relationships because it is a Libra related card, but it can also be talking about very specifically that more of what's going on at the moment is just karma playing itself out. And when you see conjunctions with Saturn, that does happen. When you see squares to the nodes, that does happen. It's saying, hey, this is a result of your past actions. And guess what? You are creating even more karma for yourself. So be mindful of finding that balance. Try to be more of like a mediator. Try to be a peacemaker. Try to find the middle ground. But it's not just being somebody who's a pushover. Like Libra or Justice energy is kind of like iron fist, velvet glove, where it's also not telling somebody off, but being like, hey, this doesn't work for me anymore. This isn't in balance. This doesn't feel good. And actions have repercussions, and really thinking things through, especially in regards to relationships, and weighing the balance and asking yourself if this is fair or if this is a good fit. So this is you right now. So you want to be careful not being like judge and jury, you know, judging people and being too judgmental, because that's definitely something with some of these squares that we're seeing that we're trying to work out of, right? Because everybody's kind of on their own place in the race right now with how some of this stuff is kind of panning out. Then we have your hopes and your fears, which is the 7 of Coins. So it's like, okay, I'm taking chances, I'm taking risks, I'm planting some seeds. I really need these things to work out. I really hope that it can work out. How can I be better about making sure that this comes together? You know, if you're planting these seeds, it's really important to see that they are successful and they actually come into a very successful harvest, because you need to eat, you need to feed your family, you need to see some kind of positive turnout in regards to a new job that you're launching or an investment that you're making. And it is about being wise. It's about diversifying. It's about taking your time, not putting all your eggs in one basket. So I think that you are hopeful that it ends up being fruitful, but you are fearful that if it doesn't pan out, it's like, what am I going to do? So it's not betting the house, you know, that's definitely, it's like not putting all of your eggs in one basket, or not moving all of your resources into one opportunity. Learning to, I think, practice being a little bit more conservative and not throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. But by the same token, when it comes to new investments or new endeavors, it's just taking your time, making sure you're looking through everything, tending to things in general, and hoping that it comes out well. Then the 9th card that we have is your environment. So this is interesting. 10 of Coins. Lots of coins. So Ten of Coins is your environment, is like manifestation mode. It's like, I am healthy, wealthy, wise. I am surrounding myself with people, places, and things that are helping me build towards my long-term goals. It can be about financial security, family businesses, also thinking about how you can bring your family or your business together, or a way to be able to grow and like focus on what's going to be sustainable long-term. I see that a lot also with just like the 7 of Coins that came up, and then the 10 of Coins for your environment. So it seems like you're focusing more on like enriching your life for the long run. And even if you have to make some sacrifices in the meantime, this is kind of saying like, you're surrounding yourself with richness. Doesn't need to be expensive things or rich people. It can be a rich life in a sense of like, I'm eating better, or I'm paying better attention to my environment, or rather than having short-term fulfillment, I'm focusing on long-term fulfillment. And I know that I want to be in a better place financially or health-wise, or job-wise. So if I need to do a little bit without now, so be it. So this does talk about long-term stuff. I think it's interesting that it's coming up in your environment, because it's saying that you're finding ways to enrich your daily life. So you're feeling more positive and optimistic about where you're going. It can also be a lot of spending time around your family, or just people who are going to make you feel uplifted in general. Okay. So the 10th card is the outcome card, which I get the 5 of Swords. And that does kind of suggest like, nobody gets a pass. There may be a situation where it's like, there's no real moving through this without some kind of conflict, without kind of saying to somebody like, hey, this ain't gonna fly, It does talk about the need to also lay weapons down and really reiterate where you're not going to be confrontational, or there's not going to be arguments or violence, or kind of going toe to toe with somebody. Interestingly enough, in this card, you do see people walking away. So it's not as combative as the 5 of Wands. I think that it's more kind of saying like, you know what, I know when enough is enough. And there are some things that, people should not say or should not do that would cross the line, and vice versa, of deciding to lay your weapon down rather than continuing to push. Interesting that this is the outcome card, and this is why I always love doing the 3 expansion cards. So this is going to confirm, what does that mean? Why is there a sense of walking away from something, or walking away from conflict, or something that doesn't serve you? The 2 of Coins tells me that you're kind of deliberating right now, and there's a sense of you going back and forth and trying to decide, is this for me? Is this not for me? Am I taking too big of a risk by cutting this thing, this person, this tendency off? And you're weighing your options. Might take you 2 weeks, might take you 2 months, but you're working with increments of 2. So you're like, do I want this? Do I want that? And what happens if I do this? What's the repercussion? But you're having to weigh your options right now. That's like, do I do it sooner and make it easier? Or do I do it later down the road and it could be more difficult? So for the other 2 outcomes, this is expanding on the final outcome. The card that I get is the Ace of Coins. So very interesting. That's the money card. That's the resource card. So it's saying like, you're having to really weigh your options and ask yourself, like, what do I really value? What is the most valuable thing for me right now? And you're choosing what may not be the path of least resistance, definitely not the path of least resistance, but the path that's going to bring you stability in the long term, right? And it can be financial, it can be health, once again. It can also be just about feeling more so grounded. And this is generally a very good omen for saying like within 1 year's time, financially, better things coming, better health. But it can be talking about like this turning over a new leaf when it comes to just how you are in regards to your resources and your values in general. And the final card is the Sun. So I guess the moral of the story is that we are not being given the opportunity to take the path of least resistance right now. That even though the path looks a little treacherous, and it may also bring about or include some sense of us needing to have some internal or external conflict, cutting things or people off or out of our life, making those sacrifices and those changes for the better part of the next couple of weeks is going to serve our higher good better. And we're going to be happier and feel more healthy and abundant and better and more so in our bodies by kind of cutting things off. it's so interesting to me, like how accurate, you know, I guess a closed divination system can be, right? Whether it's like the I Ching, which I like to read regularly. It's always a good ass kicking for me when I read the I Ching, the tarot, you know, or any closed divinatory system, especially if you really resonate with it. And I guess I would just say that in the midst of these transits, when you are faced with having to make changes and having to potentially fight an uphill battle, don't lose sense of why you're fighting a fight. Hopefully you're fighting the good fight. And you will look back at this time and go, you know what, it was worth it. There was definitely a sense of accomplishment, and I really learned something, and it was really grueling, but it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. So hopefully you resonate with that reading. Hopefully that was helpful for you. And I don't know, let me know, where are these transits taking place in your life or in your chart? Do you resonate with this? Was it helpful? Do you want to let me know and expand on what this reading gave you in terms of insight? If you want to book a reading with me, please check out my website and my links below. You can find me at beyondtheveiltarot.com. I practice Western evolutionary astrology and tarot, and I have a private practice. I've had a private practice now for 8 years, and I have clients all over the world. So I'm very stoked to be able to welcome new clients into my practice. I will leave it at that, and hopefully you guys are faring well through these transits. I'm going to be back on Thursday, give you guys another video. I've had a lot of people who've sent me emails and they have questions. Also, if you guys want to interact with me, please follow my Instagram. I'm very active on my Instagram. You can find me there at Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. You'll see me there, don't worry. So if you want to send me emails, or if you want to send me messages about content, I've had a lot of people ask me about the fate versus free will aspect of astrology, and I'm going to be putting together a video on that for you guys this week. Otherwise, I will see all of you very soon, and you take care.